if you are sat in your seat and you are not bopping your little booty or your whatever you call them, what did we call them in a previous RippleFest? The amazing Donna Riley. I think we called them tooties or something. There you go. If you've got tooties, you must shake them. If you haven't got tooties, find some and shake them. If they're not yours, though, do ask permission first. We are here at RippleFest. I'm very excited to be announcing more incredible Ripple makers who are going to be joining us this week. For those of you that are joining us backstage, could you please make sure that you're also logged into the Facebook group and that you communicate via the Facebook group while you're here? So for those of you who've never been to RippleFest before, welcome to RippleFest. For those of you that have been with us since the very beginning, I can see we've got one Ripple maker who has been literally here since RippleFest 1, when I had no idea what it was. She's backstage with us every single month. This is officially our 27th RippleFest event. Can you believe that? 27 events we've now run for RippleFest, and actually this month is our official 2-year anniversary. How about that? Give us a round of applause for it being our 2-year anniversary. So we've done 27 RippleFests because I did some back-to-back very early on in the early days just to test it and work out, what is this thing? It's like giving birth and then saying, well, is it a girl or a boy? And like what is this baby? And we worked it out along the way. And that is how I found the best way to build a movement, to build a business, to build a brand, is not to be so attached to the actual idea. So of course you need to have a really clear idea about where it is you want to go and have a good vision, but be open to the possibilities of how you get there. Because whenever I've been so fixed on where it is that I'm going, I've been so disappointed along the way. And when I've let go, when I've just surrendered, the ideas, the people, all the things, the money, the products, the programs, it's like I've just let this force field open up and attract everything that I wanted and more, even things that I didn't even know that I wanted, like living on a boat. I now do, but that wasn't in my conscious mind. I didn't know that I wanted to do that. But as soon as I started to surrender to what is it that is meant for me, that's when everything started to get into flow. And RippleFest has been one of those things. I just let it go. I surrendered to the process. Usually when I'd been so fixed on what it was going to be and how we were going to do it, I just put a post out 2 years ago around this time on my personal Facebook page and said, guys and girls, I've had this download. It's called RippleFest. I don't know what it is, but you know, anything I do, it's fun. I make sure that you're connecting with amazing people just like you. Let's just see what this is. Come across and join me in the group. That's when I set up the group. And from then it just grew from there because I was open to all the possibilities that it could be. So that means over the last 2 years and 27 events, this is the 27th event, so 26 events. That means I've now interviewed over 200 global ripple makers who have brought their magic from what they are building and how they're making their impact to this stage. And I'm really excited that I've got more ripple makers for you to hear from this week. Now, this fantastic lineup that I have for you: more change makers, influencers, ripple makers. We've got authors, thought leaders, brand builders who are joining us this week. There is one ripple maker who is joining us this week. They're going to be with us tomorrow night, who was at the very start of my journey. In fact, if it hadn't have been for this person, I would never have launched my first online program. I've now launched over 1,000 online programs, masterclasses, resources, tools because of this person. And I love to bring my mentors, people that have helped me to get where I am, back onto this stage to share with you how you can do it too. So the people you're going to learn from, one of the other ripple makers who's also joining us tomorrow night, happened to be in Barcelona with them last week. And he made a massive difference to my life. I had an enormous shift last week because of this incredible guy. And I said, you have to come to RippleFest and share some of this magic. So all of these incredible people that I'm getting behind their businesses, so I understand how they work. And how they treat people ethically and how they're not banding the word authenticity around. They are being authenticity. And so those people that I'm meeting that are building great things, that are doing extraordinary things for humanity, and people just like you and me, I want to keep getting them back and learning from them, because we can be earning while we're learning. And so that's what we're going to be doing this week. These people have really dug deep and they've walked the hard yards to get where they are. And you don't need to walk some hard yards in exactly the way that they did. And if we can collapse the amount of time that it takes you to achieve what they've achieved, then we've achieved our mission this week. So guys and girls, I am so excited for us to be here. Give me a hashtag ready to ripple if you are ready to ripple with us this week. Please do make sure that you put comments as we go through this. Just imagine that we're having a conversation and ask questions. And if you have a light bulb moment, share it in the comments. If one of the speakers, or if I say something and it just ignites a thought or it inspires you in some way, let us know. You know, it's really nice for the speakers to be able to go back through the comments afterwards and go, wow, these are the things out of everything that we said, these are the things that really made the impact. So please do, you know, give your feedback as we're going along, like, wow, that was really inspiring, or how did you do that? Ask your questions. This is a two-way conversation as we go through this. So let's see where all of you fabulous ripple makers are tuning in from around the world. Put in the comments, where are you dialing in from? And is it where you usually live, or are you visiting somewhere? We're good to see you, or what parts of the world you're all tuning in. And I'm curious, by the way, I'd love to know, just because of the topics that we're covering, how many of you have been through some kind of pain in your life or in your business as you've been growing your business? You've experienced that pain and it's just like, how many of you have experienced that as you've been growing your business? And how many of you have ever been so frustrated with your business that you've asked yourself, or it might even have been your life, you've been so frustrated with your life that you've asked yourself, is this all there is? Surely there's more. Right? How many of you have ever asked yourself that question? And how many of you have this massive, like, burning purpose, this desire inside of you that's so big, and it might be so big that you're just like, whoa, where do I even start? Or you just feel that calling, you need to do something bigger, and you're at the start of that journey. Well, if you've answered yes to any of those questions, or you've written in the comments there, you're in the right place, because that's exactly what we're going to be focused on over these next 3 days of the November RippleFest. So before we get started, I just want to remind you that whether you're tuning in live or if you're tuning in for the replay, please do continue to use the comments. Doesn't matter if you're joining us on the replay version, pretend that you're still here with us live and still comment as if you are here with us, because if you do have an aha moment, you have something that you want to share, we'd love to hear it. So don't think that just because you're watching the replay that we don't care about going on this journey with you. Just open your mind, open your heart, and let us in, even if you're watching the replay, and continue to put your comments as well. So today we are going to go deep with the Love-In Action coach, my dear friend, my surrogate mum, Miss Joké Hoetmer. And she's going to be with us talking about how to turn your tears behind the smile into tears of peace, love, and freedom. How many of you would love to feel that just all-encompassing peace, unconditional love, and freedom? How many of you would love to feel that? Well, we're going to dive a little bit deeper with Joké on how she's managed to achieve it. We've also got at least one of the co-founders of the Only the Brave retreats. We've got John Beamson for sure with us this evening. Chris might also pop in as well, but I'm delighted to be speaking at their event on a mountain in Scotland this coming weekend. So if you aren't booked to go on this retreat, you need to talk to one of these two amazing guys. So these incredible change makers, seriously, they did say yes to their vision. They said yes to their purpose. They said yes to themselves. And then they said yes to coming here and sharing with you how they did it. So I'm going to introduce you to them. Before I do, please take a selfie of you right now. What are you doing right now? Grab your phone take a selfie of you, preferably with your computer in the background, or if you're watching on your phone, just take a selfie. Hey, I'm at RippleFest. I'm attending RippleFest. So put a little post out on social media now. Let them know that you are with us live in the group. Please use the hashtags RippleFest and One Drop Movement. So hashtag RippleFest, hashtag One Drop Movement, and share it with your friends. Invite them to come along and join us. All right, let's get our first ripple maker onto the stage. She is the Love in Action coach, Joké Hoetmer. Joké is a seasoned and intuitive business visionary. She's a public speaker, which is actually how I met her. And she's a Love in Action coach. And she uses her wealth of real life experience to support and mentor women so that they can navigate and overcome adversity, trauma, loss, and pain. How many of you have experienced one of those, right? It's so painful going through it on your own. Well, Joké is here to support women so they never have to go through it on their own again. Now, Joké launched her very first book. I'm so excited. She's going to share it with us tonight. She launched her very first book just last week. The book is called Tears Behind the Smile. And she's here to share her journey of healing and wholeness and how she was able to really come back from the brink of, I mean, there are so many people that have been through less that have left this planet because it was just too hard. What she has been through just again and again. When you read the book, I was so honored to be able to give it a final proofread before it went off to print. And I got to really get behind this amazing champion of women who she's just going to make the most extraordinary difference. So tonight I'm excited that she's going to be making that difference to you. Let's get her up onto the stage to talk about how she has turned her tears behind the smile into tears of peace, love, and freedom. Let's get our amazing Joké up onto the stage. Joké, Joké, Joké.
Hi, Sammy. I've got a problem with the backdrop. I don't know what I've done here.
You do. You're kind of going alien-like. You're having your own little disco going on there.
I don't know what? I look like a...
I think this has to be the funniest intro ever.
Sorry,
I think it's something to do with how your screen is, how you're sharing it. If anybody knows how to help Joké to change that, if you can help her.
Before I put the video off and then quickly came back on again. So
okay.
I don't know what happened here.
Maybe it's one of those things. Switch it off and switch it back on again.
Okay, so I'm going to do that. And if I do, I'm going to leave and then come back again. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
I think
so while Joké does that, we'll just do our own little hokey cokey. There you go. She's here. There you go.
Okay. Okay. I'll just sit still. I'll sit still.
Yeah,
okay.
Sit still. Don't move. Joké, you have been such a rock for so many. You've been a rock for me. I was thrilled to be building Brand Builders Club back in the day. Doesn't it feel like years and years ago when Joké was flying all over the world with me, launching Brand Builders Club in different locations? She was a key part of building the UK and Holland. And so we were always on a plane going somewhere. She's been a massive part of my life and just such a minister to and a mentor to so many women already. Joké, your book Tears Behind the Smile is really the first time that you have taken 17 years it's taken you to write this book, and that you've been kind of piecing it along, and now you've birthed this book. You now have something that can sit in the hands of millions, and you can still be that heart connection to people. How does it feel to have gone for 17 years wanting to put this book together and pulling it together to finally see it launched? What does it feel like?
I tell you, when I unpacked the books in the box on Tuesday, I went hysterical. Yeah. I just started crying and crying, but it was an internal crying, and I was heaving. And luckily, I don't know if you know Tahira, she's here at the moment, and she was videoing it, and Paul was standing there, and he was totally shocked that I reacted that way. It was just a release that I am now doing what I should be doing, being raw and real in this book, and telling my story, because nobody would believe it. And the truth is that nobody knows these stories. They know little pieces of it. my children, my family, nobody knows this. So it was actually a relief, and I was shocked at my reaction.
Yeah, well,
it was good.
because your children actually didn't know about most of the things you've written in this book.
Nobody knows.
So
Nobody
I have a lot
knows.
of members that have fear about people finding out about what they've been through, and yet you shared like a seriously traumatic journey from rape, adultery, having to run from the house because you thought you were going to be killed. I mean, you've had a gun to your head. You've been through so many different things. And how did your children react when you actually launched that? Did you let them see the book first, or were you like,
no.
you're just going to find it all?
I got their permission. I got each one of them, because I've got 6 adopted. So now I've got 2 of my own. And the 6 adopted were also part of this journey. One of their fathers was part of this journey. And one of the children in the book is in this journey, you know, and 2 of the grandchildren are in the book. So I had to get their permission, but they trust me. But they also know that I have to do this. They know, not for me, because the healing has been done long ago, but the actual writing the book, I mean, it's been longer than 17 years, actually. But 17 years I've been trying to actually write. Then I don't even know where it is on my computer, because I'm not a writer, but I'm a storyteller. But then to go back into those stories was very hard, very, very hard, because I had to go back into it. And the trauma of going back into it, which I've forgotten, was quite real. It was tough. And that's why I had that release when the book arrived. And I'm still in shock, actually. I haven't had a chance to actually breathe, because then Tahira arrived and she's had a marathon running. She's sleeping right now. She's had a marathon and doing all her calls for the, you know, for the Golden Door project. And I was sort of, she wasn't going to stay here, but it ended up, that's what happened. And yeah, so I haven't actually realized what's happening yet. I haven't really looked at my own book yet, because it just all happened so fast. But anyway, I'm grateful. Yeah.
So what would you say was the final push? Because if it's taken you that long, I know that there are going to be people like, how many of you that are watching right now, you've had an idea and you've been trying to make it happen, or you've been working on it for a long time, or you've been thinking about it for a long time and you just haven't got it out the gates yet, or you know, you've been working on it slowly. Maybe you've been procrastinating, you've thrown some obstacles in there. Joké, you know all about all of these things. What would your advice be to those people that are just like you, that, like, I suppose, what was the change? What was the push? What was the difference between you going for like 18 years and not quite getting it out there, and no, that's going to be too painful, I don't want to revisit that, I'm just going to do all the things that I like doing, I'll go there instead. And I get the feeling also, Joké, that you've helped so many other people as an avoidance tactic. Because when you're busy serving others and you haven't got enough time to work on your thing, like how many of you are listening to this and resonate? Yes, I see you. Yeah. Right. And then we put other people first, and we make other people a priority. We put other people's problems a priority. We make everything else and everyone else a priority. So when did this book become a priority, and why?
First of all, I had to realize that time is ticking, and it was a very serious thing for me. And I knew I had to do this. I knew how many people asked me, Joké, why didn't you tell your story? And then I kept on thinking, I need support. You know, I've always said that I need support. And I need a mentor. And I also needed somebody that believed in me, because I didn't believe in myself enough to get out of that procrastination. And it happened. And I don't say everybody's going to do it the way I've done it, but it happened for me this way. I've been single for 19 years. I'm a widow for 19 years. And it was quite a challenge for me to not have that somebody that will push me. And I met this guy online. And this guy is now 3 weeks ago, my husband. And Sammy was at the wedding.
Yeah, I was filming the wedding.
And she was filming at the wedding. And so, you know, a lot of the RippleFEST people came. And what he said to me, I've got a passion for abused women. And that sounds terrible, but he meant I want abused women to write a book. And when I told them I want to write this book, and I've got this chapter here and I've got a chapter there, he says, send me the chapters. And then he said to me, no, you're doing it wrong. You've got to get a system going. So he kept me accountable, and I was in Chiswick and he was in Portsmouth. And every time I wrote a chapter, within 2 days, I had to write a chapter. I sent it to him raw. Now, I mean, the spelling mistakes, well, you know,
Because you speak half in Afrikaans and half in
no, I think in Dutch, and then I translate it to Afrikaans, and then I go to English. So I get it so wrong, but the story is there, the essence is there. And I said it as it was. And then I got into such a deep place. And then he talked to me and he said to me, you know, where you're at now. And I just said, I can't breathe. It was so tough. It was hard. But now the release, it's so exciting to get out there, because I want people to realize that you don't have to hide. I've been hiding all my life. And for those that don't know, I'm 72 now. It's time. I mean, if I don't do it now, when am I going to ever get out there, you know? So, yes. And he mentored me in that sense. And we went away, our first weekend that we actually went away. And he sat with me. It was a working weekend. He sat and got the chapters out of me. And that he held me accountable. And that's what I needed. And he put it on his screen and I could see what I did. And he started putting pictures in it. And he started doing what he's got to do. And then I started seeing it. And then I got into the race. Mm-hmm. So that is something that I needed. And well, because he saw all these ugly things in my life, and the fact that he loved me even more, is a story I want to tell everybody. Because that is me. This is what made me what I am today. My pain has now been my gain. What was there for me to destroy me has now actually made me. And the difference is I am now giving back. I've learned the lessons. I've got the t-shirt. You know, that meaning of I've done it, I've got the t-shirt. I really feel I've got the t-shirt.
I think you got a whole wardrobe, Joké.
Because, yeah, Sammy, but the thing is, there was no Google those days.
No.
There was no books those days, no mentors, nothing, no internet. We had to figure it out. And this is why I feel people will relate to it, because the loneliness behind your pain and hiding behind that pain, it's never going to go away. You've got to face it. And that is where I come in. And I'm saying, like, I'm being raw and real. I'm saying things that people don't talk about. And I might shock people, but that maybe is a good thing, because that's real for them. Not everything would resonate with everybody, not every chapter. But there's certain chapters that would resonate with you, and it'll give you hope, because it's also got, like, you know, the lifelines. Those lifelines are downloads that I got. And Paul said, what is this? He said, I said, no, don't stop me. And I was writing, I was scribbling these lifelines down as I was just in that flow, like you say, you know. So he gave me that flow. But I don't say you've got to get a man. Please don't do that to me. Come into your own purpose. In my case, that was the case. The fact is, get somebody that sees you. And I hope to be that person as well to all those out there that have got pain. I want them to trust themselves, to allow themselves to share what they feel and what they went through. Because, you know, it's okay. That did not define me. And you were the first person to read the book. It does not define me. In actual fact, it's made me.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because the things that you were so worried about sharing is like, oh, if I share these things, then who's going to love me? People will just judge me. And, you know, that you so many times we can have these feelings, we can feel that misalignment because, you know, actually, I know that I need to say it. And the more you suppress it, the more you hold it down, and the more you keep stuffing it down with other things, whether that's drugs, alcohol, food, supporting others to avoid doing what you need to do, you know, like being the everything to everybody. And then you become nobody. You get to the point where there's nothing left for yourself. And I think what's really important in what I've heard from you, Joké, what I'm hearing is that you need someone to do it for. So I'm not I mean, mentors are brilliant. Obviously I am one. So like, I wouldn't be doing very much if I wasn't mentoring. I just love what I do. But I think what's most important out of everything you've said is actually you've got someone to do it for. And I found this as well at the beginning of my journey. It took me 2 years before I launched my very first online program. And it took that amount of time because I was so busy perfecting, predicting, procrastinating, thinking, well, I think this is what they want. So assuming what they wanted. And so I just kept going round and round in circles, and nothing felt right. And if something doesn't feel right, I can't launch it and I can't start talking about it. It's got to feel right to me. And it wasn't until the first person came and said to me, Sammy, I haven't got 20 grand for you to do this for me. Can you teach me how to do this myself? And I thought, well, yeah, it'd be really easy to teach you. And it wasn't until I had someone to do it for, like you now have these women to do it for, these women that have trodden the path that you have walked, yet they're still staying silent. And as we know, trapped emotion can cause not only disease, but disease, and can play havoc on the body. And people are walking around crippled, they can't move, you know, their bodies are tight, they're not even in their body most of the time, they can't wait to be out of it. And so they treat themselves really poorly because their map of the world as such is very different to the one that you've now experienced, by saying, actually, do you know what, when I shared this with the world, I wasn't prepared for the amount of love I would receive. So where I thought there would be judgment, there was love. Where I thought there would be criticism, there was love. Where I thought there would be people shutting down on me, there was love. And so ultimately you are love in action.
You know what, a point that I realized while I was writing the book is the driving force was my life had to have meaning. All this had to make sense. And the only way it can make sense is if I can help others. And that was my driving force. My driving force is to help women and men, because men are also abused. Do you know how many men are coming forward and buying the book? I'm shocked, because it's actually, to me, it was more for a woman, but men are buying it. One of the handyman here, where I'm living, he's bought it. He couldn't wait. So it's interesting. And so that's giving me such a willingness to serve. You see, this is not about me. The book is the story. I'm the avatar. But the story, the book is for everyone who has some form of abuse. And you know, 4 out of 5 people have had abuse. I go to my doctor. I told her about the book. She started crying. The receptionist, 2 Muslim ladies, started crying. Oh, was emotional, because they got to know me. You know, I go in there with Lily and everything, the little doggy and whatever. It's always, I connect with people because of this. The lady that did my wedding dress, she felt it. So then I thought, there's a lot of people that are crying behind their smiles. The thing is, we've got this thing, we've got to be this, especially with the social media, we've got to be these kind of people. We're always smiling. Now, I am always smiling, but I had tears nobody knew of.
Mm.
And silently, I was crying. I buried it. And it's got these strongholds and these patterns in your life that inhibit you. You keep on tripping. I mean, in the book, I tell about how I discovered that I was a common denominator. And I mean, yes, I married wrong kind of people, a misogynist, an alcoholic, and a mind-controlling person. So the alcoholic physically abused me. The misogynist mentally got me so confused. I didn't even know I was Arthur or Martha anymore. I had such shame for nothing. I didn't do anything. He didn't drink. Huh? I thought, this is a good man. He didn't drink. He was good to my children. But boy, oh boy, did he destroy my mind. And then I got one with mind control. And there were 3 people in the marriage. The third person was his child, which I adopted as my own. And the challenge with that and how to negotiate that, it is all about negotiating the trauma, negotiating the situation and surviving with no books, no sources. And one of the points, I love this part of this, it's the naughty side. There's a naughty side of me as well, right? I just want to show this. And the person who published this, she says, do you want to put that in? I said, yes.
I bet I know the page you're going to show.
My toilet time reading.
Yeah. Well, because that came about because you were having to hide from your husband.
Yeah.
You were taking the Bible into the toilet just so that you could get some peace and to grasp onto. I mean, you were really angry with God and you were trying to do everything you could to create a connection, or come on, like, you know, help. I need help. And there you are, literally at points with a gun to your head, not knowing whether you'd survive. I mean, you've got such a big story. I think everybody needs to go and read the book. Now, Joké, you did give me a link for it, but it only takes me to the UK Amazon. So I think what we'll ask everybody to do is to go to Amazon in whatever country you're in and type in Tears Behind the Smile, Joké Hoetmer. So you can see her name on the screen there. If you want to connect with Joké, if you go to the members tab at the top of the One Drop Facebook group, you'll find Joké there if you forget what it is. I will put the link in with the description as well, but if you can't find it, just type in Tears Behind the Smile, Joké. That should be enough for you to be able to find it in whatever country you're in. My goodness, this woman has poured so much into this book, blood, sweat and tears into this book.
You're supposed to see a tear there.
Yeah.
Amazingly, you can't see it now in the screen, but amazingly, my daughter in South Africa did this. I paid a lady to do the cover. She couldn't get it right. I gave my daughter a brief. She got it right the first time.
Yeah, that's because she knows you. That's the thing. It's an inside job. This is the thing, you know, with branding, it's an inside job, and this is why I love empowering people to be able to take control of their own brand. Having run an agency and done it all for people, I saw how many people come to an agency and go, just do it all for me, and then they're not connected to it. And I think when you're responsible and you have ownership for an accountability to what you're building, it means so much more to you. Joké,
Sammy, I just want to say one thing.
So I was going to say, if you've got one thing that you want to share with the audience before we go.
The RippleFEST are making a ripple for women and men come out of hiding of their pain whenever they're ready to create a movement. That is what I want to do. And the thing behind it is, don't judge me by my journey. Judge me by my destination. That just came to me. Don't judge me by the journey. Judge me by the destination.
I see the movement is already starting to be made. Joké, have you got a golden nugget, something you'd leave all of our ripple makers with tonight as we move on to our next incredible speaker? One thing you'd like to share?
To find your truth, you've got to start being truthful with yourself. And that is the hardest thing. and to forgive yourself, to be free. Now, we don't understand that. We don't get taught that. So I'm just saying, forgive yourself, find your truth, and embrace every season you're in, because that season, you're going to have a lesson. And that lesson, learn that lesson, because you're going to go back to that lesson if you don't learn it. So don't keep on repeating the lesson. Learn that lesson so you can move on. That's what I encourage people to do.
Brilliant. I love it. Guys and girls, give it up for the amazing Joké Hoetmer. Make sure you go buy her book, buy it for somebody else, buy one, give one, pay it forward. Nice little Christmas present there to go in somebody's Christmas stocking. Of course, the beautiful thing about the book is that it doesn't outwardly say, hey, this is for people that are, you know, being abused or in shit relationships. But if you know someone that is in one, as they read the story,
it's actually a work in process that you could read it continually, because you'll read the lifelines and it'll give you hope. It's a book of hope.
It is a book of hope, that is for sure. Well, brilliant, guys and girls. Give it up for Joké. We're now going to move on to one of the power team. We weren't sure if we were going to have one or both of them, both with us this evening, but we have the amazing John who's with us. He's the co-founder of Only the Brave Retreats. Now, John is a former soldier turned mountaineer who quit his job, a very well-paying job, during COVID to commit fully to his passion. And he's now well on his way to building 2 businesses. His business partner, Chris Wardren, who I'm delighted is one of our RippleMakers mastermind members, he's been wild camping for nearly 30 years now, spending hundreds of days in the mountains. But it wasn't always this way. You see, at 23 years old, Chris, John's business partner, had a stroke, a cerebral hemorrhage. And he was just 23 years old. Now, nobody told him that that part of your brain dies. So for the next 2 decades, he was under the impression that he could live a normal life. And he pushed himself to achieve more. But then a few years ago, he was diagnosed with ME, which is a chronic fatigue syndrome, which brought about a whole world of trauma. And over the last 20 years, he's had some pretty awful shizzle to deal with. And that's how he found himself spending so much time in the mountains. Him and John have joined forces to create Only the Brave Retreats, which are for only the brave. Ladies and gentlemen, do come up, give us a warm round of applause, a RippleMakers welcome for the amazing John Beamson.
Hi, Sammy. Thank you very much. Phenomenal evening to be alive, and that was a great introduction. And it was great to hear it coming from you as well. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're so welcome. Well, thank you for dropping in with us at One Drop Movement and RippleFest today. I want to dive in first of all with, you know, that kind of obvious thing, because we've got so many people that are working a job and building their business at the same time. You totally quit your job and went for it full time. You will have been through the stresses and the, oh my God, what the fuck am I doing moments. What would you say have been your biggest learnings on this journey of evolving from employee to entrepreneur?
100%. This is a saying that was said to me by someone very industrial: shit or get off the pot. And what that really means is you either commit and go for it, or you stay comfortable. And that was a scary process, because I had a comfortable job and a comfortable lifestyle, and there was a part of me that knew that if I wanted to be serious and I wanted people to take me serious, I had to be serious. So I had to go for it, and I quit my job. And obviously people are like, oh, I can't believe you're quitting COVID. How are you going to do this? How are you going to do that? But honestly, it's an easy cliche thing to say, but I haven't looked back, and I've upgraded and I've improved my system of people who I know and trust and like. And whenever I've become the smartest man in the room, I've moved to a different room, and I'm not afraid to be behind people in their business journey. I'm not afraid to listen to anybody who's doing better, done better, built better, take criticism, take feedback. And actually today I was speaking with the CEO sort of about the Only the Brave. And I mentioned you, and he said, how do you know Sammy? And I said, because I got into the right rooms. And that ultimately is how you do things. You've got to be in the rooms, and if that means you put yourself out, if it's at a financial loss, if it's not convenient time-wise, if it's not just round the corner from where you live, then that's what you need to do, because you will not meet the people who you need to meet sat in your own bedroom. You've got to get out there and get after it.
You certainly do. And I love that we sat next to an event completely by accident, next to each other at an event, totally by accident. And it, well, was it accident? Is there anything ever accidental?
I don't believe, no, I don't believe in accidents. I believe that the universe puts people together that are meant to attract each other energy wise. So I believe that we were meant to meet, and it's one of those things now that we've gone from us meeting to you speaking on mine and Chris's event, which and obviously Chris is a part of your program as well, so it's fantastic. It's a real learning lesson.
It is, and so one that I'm so thrilled to be a part of. So, John, how did you come to be doing what you're doing then? So you have this career. So what was the career? I know that you've been in the military as well. So when you came out of the military, you did that, and then you're now doing this. What's the journey? Help us to make sense of this, if you can.
I just wanted to be comfortable, Sammy. Like I went from someone who was in the forces to being respected, serving in Iraq, Afghanistan, all of those places, positions of responsibility, to sort of leaving the forces, losing my way, becoming a very confrontational person. When you're not happy with yourself, you want to blame a lot of other people for what you're not doing. And it was only until I could accept that point the finger of blame and three fingers will always point back at you, that I finally got doing the right things. And it was actually my partner that got me into being outdoors again and walking again, and sort of found a new love for it, and just changed what I was doing and how I was doing things. And then went down the mountain leader route. I've always been a thing, Sammy, about how you do anything is how you do everything. So I've always wanted to do everything properly. So whatever the proper way to do something is, that's the way you should be doing it. So hence the reason, we went down the mountain leader route, qualified as a mountain leader, started taking people out sort of around the UK. And then I ended up on a 3-day mastermind with Nick James. And he sort of said, what you're doing, you could do it a lot better, but you need to improve what you're doing, and you need to work with people who can improve you. And ultimately, like, as an alpha male man, to be told what you're doing isn't very good, you can either take that one or two ways. You can either get the hump and say, well, what does he know? Or you can go, well, he's built loads of successful businesses, so I need to just shut this and open these and move forward, which I think is, for men, I think it's difficult.
Yes, but you achieved it. You managed it. And so when I met you, you were just starting to really build the momentum with it. I think we met about last year, sort of kind of summer coming into probably about a year ago. And so, so as you've, tell us about some of the things that, because there's going to be a lot of people that are watching right now that will resonate with this message, right? So tell us about some of the things that have been big challenges for you, because you've gone from nice, comfortable job to becoming, not just a coach and a mentor and a guide, but also leading people on these like big adventures. And sometimes it's just a big walk. That's what your clients need. They just need to be out in nature. And so as a coach, as a mentor, where, in terms of money, a lot of people that start doing things as, this was a hobby, now it's becoming a business, they find it really challenging to charge what they're worth. How have you overcome some of these obstacles?
That's a great question. I'm from a working class background, so my upbringing is at a working class background. So my relationship comes from my mother and my father, as their relationships with money. So I had to almost just completely reinvent that side of my brain. And again, training with Elite Closing Academy and other agencies like that has brought that relationship with money to a new learning. And certainly the people who I work with, if I took my old mentality into those meetings, I'd never get it across the line, because I now know what I offer. So I have no problem in saying what the investment is. And that's a real important thing, because you can't take those stalls and those, can I really say this figure to this person? And ultimately, what I think's a lot of money, that's what I think. It's not what you may think. So it's kind of hard to say, well, that's a lot of money, because I don't know what other people's lots of money is. So there's that side of it. So you've got to go and have training, and you've got to make sure that your relationship with money is correct. Otherwise, you'll take these old stereotypes into your meetings, and ultimately, you can sell the greatest product ever, but if you don't believe in it, and the person who doesn't believe in it, they ain't buying it. So it's an important step, right?
It is an important step. We've got a program running right now, a free program for all members of the One Drop community, by the way. If you don't know about this, we've got a 16-week program that we're running, is totally free for all members of this One Drop movement community, because there's so much scarcity going on out there right now. Prices are increasing. You know, a lot of people think, oh, I must charge more, or maybe I should launch little things for, you know, for people that only have little money. And you know, so we're doing a whole program around wealth and your connection and your relationship with money. It's called Tapping into Wealth. It's actually a book. It's a book by Margaret M. Lynch, and so all we've done is, that's all you need to pay is buy the book, whether you buy it on Kindle, Audible, if you can get it on Audible, buy the book. I've bought a few of these for other people as well. And, you know, all we're doing is reading one chapter a week and getting together every Friday, 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, UK time, to discuss what's coming up. And the amount of stuff that's coming up, even with members I've known for a long, long time, that are now having massive shifts around money and their value. One of the biggest lessons that's really exposed itself to me is toxic money. We haven't got time to go into it now.
Yeah,
I was telling one of my boat neighbors about it, and he went, oh my God, that's what this is. And so I bought him the book.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And I think it's a massive thing, isn't it? You know, owning your value is a part of your identity, because how can you own your identity if you don't own your value?
100%. And so I work with business owners and CEOs, so they expect to see, or certainly the ones I work with expect to see a certain figure, because they're all a part of mastermind groups, or have been in the past, or, you know, or have their own mastermind. So they expect to see a certain figure, or it's not worth their time to do the event. So that's another great thing. And the power of qualifying and dequalifying people as well, that's all a part of the process. So it's important. So, like, onto the retreat weekend is a project that we've worked up to in the last couple of years. And I sat down with Chris at the end of last year, and I said, look, I really want to offer a CEO business owner retreat weekend on an intimate scale with a world-class keynote speaker in a world-class environment. And I want all the niceties, but I'm a big believer in resilience, and resilience isn't built in Costa Coffee. Resilience is built. Resilience is built in resilient areas, and it makes us better, because the human body is the greatest thing that any of us will ever own, and it is so resilient, and it is capable of so much. But like everything else, muscle memory, it remembers that it is this tough, robust thing. So me and Chris, we created, and we said, look, ability-wise, this is why me and Chris work well, because it's yin and yang. We are yin and yang. We are very different people, but we totally understand where people are physically and ability range. So some come with me and we have a bit more of a robust challenge there, and some go with Chris for a sort of more low-level knowledge-based day, because options, right? Platinum or gold, what's going to work for you? So yeah. It keeps people there.
I love that. And you know, that's the beauty of, you know, you're a One Drop, Chris is a one drop. You're both making ripples, and then you bring those ripples together, and you've created an ocean of possibility for people. Because when Chris invited me, he said, John and I have been speaking. We'd love for you to come and work with these CEOs. We're going to climb a mountain. You're going to deliver a keynote. And, these people, they're at the top of their game. They're bored out of their heads in what they're doing, or they need adventure, or they want to know what is that next level of them. And we'd love you to come and speak. And I said, so I've got to climb a mountain. And Chris said, oh, it's okay. John's going to do all of the crazy stuff, and I'm going to take the group that you'll probably want to be in. And I said, yes, that sounds like me. So...
And you know what, Sammy, like when I asked the CEO today a powerful question. I asked him, when was his last personal win? And he said, I don't have an answer for you. And I think we forget about the power of the personal win, because it's always the business is winning or the team's winning. But what about you as an individual? When did you last win? Where's your line in the sand to say, this year I did this challenge and I'm brilliant, and I'm really, because it gives you a lot of confidence, Sammy. And when you're happy and you're doing fulfilled, like when you're fulfilled, that comes into the business, into the family. If you've got an employee system, if you're happy and winning, everyone around you is, because that's the energy you take in, without a doubt.
I just want to take that in at the moment, guys and girls. Like, if you're not putting that in the comments, you need to just sit with that for a second. If you're not winning, then nobody else is. Yeah. You've said so many light bulbs, so many things. I'm going to go back and watch it afterwards, and I'll be making all my notes as well, because I want to be present in the moment with you right now.
I mean, as well, quickly, Sammy, I'll be honest with you. There's some people I've spoke to about this is mine and Chris's baby, this event. And I've been so selective about who's coming on the first event. And the people who are coming, they're rock stars. And the energy on Friday night is going to be insane. And I've been saying to people, this opportunity to be with Sammy, you don't understand. I don't care if you've never heard of her name. You will do. The woman is legit as it comes. Like, you do not get any more legit. And I said, if you don't think you can improve your branding by spending time with Sammy, you are absolutely off your head. Like, and I said, me as a person going on it, I can't wait to spend time with you, Sammy. Like, I feel like I'm going to come on the Monday and go, well, just watch me go from here, boys and girls, because that's how powerful it is.
I'm glad Greg isn't actually here listening to this, because he'd be like, I'm never going to get her head out of this boat. But I'm taking it all in. I'm working on my receiving.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank you, John. Well, I think that's a key point that you've made, actually. For most coaches, mentors, consultants, they're not selective enough. And what they end up doing is, actually, it comes back to, we just talked about toxic money. They end up taking on projects that don't make them happy, toxic money. They end up receiving money from places that they don't feel good about receiving them from, and then feel obliged to then do the work or to see that through. There's so many different things to do with toxic money, but that is one of the most toxic in a business when you're building a brand, is to attract the wrong customer and then to deliver to that customer because you feel like, oh, well, I just want to help everybody. I want to love everybody. Everybody deserves my attention. Everybody, I should be, loving everybody. Everyone deserves it. And then, of course, you work with those people and they want more than you can give. And actually, toxic money will always cost you more than you want to pay, right? Yeah. In energy, time, and your own money, it will always cost you. But then what they do is, because they, and those of you that are watching here, I'm sure that you'll resonate with this, is because you are somebody that does a freaking good job, right? None of you go into working with a client, whether they're the right client or the wrong client. You don't go into it thinking, oh, I'm just going to do a shit job, right? You go into it, you're going to do a great bit. John's whole slogan is don't be shit, right? So give us a hashtag, don't be shit. I think we haven't had that yet. We would need to get that injection of don't be shit. I don't know how we've got almost through the interview and not mentioned that. But, people then, they do a good job. And then that person goes, oh, you need to talk to my friend. And then they recommend you to other people like them. So you never get out of this perpetual downward spiral of working with the wrong people. So I think what you just talked about there is charge what you're worth. If people can't afford it, write a book. Do what Joké's done. I'm going to write something that will reach 1 million people. You don't have to pay me for my time. You can get some of my time this way. Create a program, develop a course, do something online, create some cheat sheets or some templates or a workbook, infographics, slides, do something that helps those people. But you don't need to be giving your life to those people and committing your life to those people if they're not the right people. So John, how do you go through, just as we start to wrap up here, those people that are going through that, what do I charge? What would your advice be? Like, what is your process? So you've got this retreat, you know very clearly who you want on this retreat, people that have wanted to come on it. What's been your criteria? How have you been measuring? Are they a yes or are they a no?
I asked them what they want to get from this weekend, so it's a success for them. And as well, it's about the energy that they come on the call with. So if I get you on a call and someone says, yeah, go on, tell us about it, I think, is that, do you know what I mean? Is that, what's that about? And like, there's been some people who haven't even really got past the niceties. And unfortunately as well, I know what I'm creating, and I'm creating a room full of like absolute beastie people. And a little example is when I told a guy who I spoke to about the investment for the weekend, he was like, oh, it's a lot of money. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, it's not for you. Because the people who are coming don't think that's a lot of money. So I'd do them a disservice by putting you in the room and vice versa, because you're not at their level. And I don't want people coming away from this weekend saying, I thought John said everyone who was coming on this weekend was a bit of a beast. And so don't just get someone in the room because just because you can pay doesn't mean you should pay. And if you create a great product and a brand, guess what will happen? People will be like, that's the room you need to be in. And then almost the level of investment becomes secondary, third, fourth, fifth. And that's how I get it. And I need to feel good energy from people I've had calls with. And look, I've spoken to some absolute, some really powerful people. And I think to myself, how have I got this person's personal phone number? How have I got the personal email? And none of it's coincidence. It's because, final like clangy quote from me, be the lighthouse, never the tugboat.
I've seen you deliver that. Hashtag be the lighthouse, never the tugboat.
Yeah.
John, we're gonna have to get you back, I think, because absolutely brilliant. So many light bulbs and ahas, great questions answered or asked. Just as we start to wrap up here, if there was one question that you would encourage everybody to ask their future clients or prospects to qualify so they're talking to the right people, what question would you invite us to ask?
What do they want to get from working with you? Like that, what do you want to get? It's about them, right? Yeah. And then you have your response already preset. So why do I want to work with Sammy? Because you're an absolute beast of branding, and branding is absolutely everything in the world of business. So it's a no-brainer for me.
Amazing. Thank you, John. Well, what I heard you say was that it starts with the vision, getting really clear with the vision. So you were really clear about your vision before you went on those calls. You were really clear about the brand promise, because if you're going to promise this to one person, then you have to promise it to everyone. And if they're not right, if they don't even match with the promise, then they don't even get like that. That's energy. So now you're looking, okay, are we a right energetic match? So have we got a tick on the vision? Do they want the same thing that I want for everybody here? We've got the promise as a tick. Okay, so that person, all right. And then we've got energy. Are they good energy? Yes, no. And then the money side of things. I love what you said there. The kind of people that deserve this to be in their life don't ask those kind of questions. So thank you very much. We're not a good match.
Yeah, that's it.
I love that. It's almost like a little 4-part system for everybody that they can all go away with tonight. John, I love you so much. I can't wait to spend this weekend with you guys. It is just going to be so much fun. Can you tell everybody about it? Because even if they can't make it this weekend and they want to have a chat with you and see if they are right for it, like, what are the details? How can people reach out and see if they qualify for another one, your next one?
Yeah, well, look, fantastic. I'll be in the comments, so please feel free just to connect with me either on LinkedIn, John Beamson, the Adventure Man, Mastermind John Beamson, or John Beamson on Facebook. And I'm really approachable. Like, I've worked with CEO business owners on a one-to-one, and one thing I pride myself on is being really approachable. I love a voice note. The more creative, the better. So just hit me up with your best voice note and we'll have a great conversation and we'll find out what people want to get. And the next event for CEO business owners is in February. And amazing. I can pass the details on from there.
Yeah, please do. Guys and girls, give it up for the amazing John Beamson. Amazing. Like, that was like mic drop after mic drop after light bulb after aha. And I was having them as we were going through. So can't wait to rewatch this interview and be able to go back and actually make a list of all my ahas. Hopefully you guys all recorded them in the comments, because it makes it easy for me to then go back and catch them. I love that. Vision, promise, energy, and money. Really valuing yourself. You know, if you don't value you, other people won't value you. I just, there were so many light bulbs in there. Guys and girls, what were your favorite quotes or sayings? I think that we just need it one more time. Hashtag don't be shit. Hashtag don't be shit. If you follow John, you will see that every single day. If you're not following John, you should be. Make sure you go to the members tab at the top of the One Drop Movement community Facebook group, and you'll be able to find John there to connect with him. I think that we need like a who can create the most creative voice message now. He's opened it up to you. So he's given you permission. Like, you can do all sorts of stuff. I want to hear about what is the most creative one. I'm sure I'll hear about that this weekend. So guys and girls, I hope you've enjoyed day one. We're going to be back tomorrow for day two. We'll be live with the amazing Lydia Birchall, who is the amazing lady who's actually running this Tapping into Wealth program with one of our other members. Lydia is one of our amazing members of the Ripple Makers Mastermind. Anya, she's a tapping expert. She is a member of the Ripple Makers Mastermind. Together, they are running the Tapping into Wealth program for all of our Ripple Makers in the One Drop Movement community. So you're going to hear from Lydia on Inner Confidence, your most valuable gift. She's going to be kicking us off tomorrow. Following that, dear friend of mine who I mentioned earlier, who I would not be doing what I am doing now if it were not for him. We've got the amazing Simon Colson, who he's going to be here tomorrow talking about how do you know when it's really time to step fully into your gift. So he's going to be sharing that. So if you're like, well, is now the right time? Should I do it next year? Should I do it yesterday? Like, we'll have some answers to that tomorrow. And then we're going to be finishing tomorrow's session with the amazing Phil Quirk, who I mentioned earlier, was in with Barcelona with him last week. I'm hoping to be with him in the Isle of Wight in a couple of weeks. He's running his next practitioner course. I cannot wait to get onto that. It's actually the last one that he is running for the near future. He's definitely not running it again for a year. So if you do ever want to go and get your NLP practitioner training, make sure that you book onto that, because he is absolutely awesome. And what a giving guy, honestly. The most insanely interesting man that I think I've ever met. Like, the references that he comes up with. Gosh, I wish we had more time for you to get to know him tomorrow. I think we'll just have to bring him back. But he's a phenomenal leader. And he's going to be with us tomorrow on how to master your inner and outer influence. If you've enjoyed this session, please do tell your friends, tell your business colleagues about it, invite them to come and be part of this community. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a wonderful evening, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care. We'll see you then.